have to wrap up this conversation, and I've had a lot from the ladies. We have shared our thoughts on the event. Our hearts go out to the children who lost their lives, the family members who are mourning their children as a result of this. And there are a few things that I would like to highlight as we wrap up the conversation. We need better systems in place. The government has to do a lot more. The government cannot sit down and wait for the people to come to them. They must move to the people if the people are not coming to them. And that means that we must give, even the organizers must give proper information. Proper information. Everything must be specified on how these events can go. Now, we also highlighted respecting people no matter how much you want to help them. So you don't, traumatize them because you want to help them. You must have dignity for the people that you want to help. We also need to enforce public laws. Very important. Enforce those laws to preserve the dignity of your people as a government. That is one of your responsibilities. And this investigation needs to continue. We should not hear the last of it in a few days. We must follow up to see what is being done and taking proactive measures, which means some laws must change, some people must be held accountable so that this does not occur again. And unfortunately, this is where we're going to rest this conversation. I know Tokba is eyeing me, but she'll be all right. It's Christmas period, and I would like us to take a softer conversation to just end the day. We have children at home already, and there are certain conversations. We started yesterday talking about how to preserve our children, preserve our teens from this. And also because it's Celebrity Friday, we cannot help but talk about Bovi. Yes, Bovi was trending recently on social media where he says, "I don't advocate for beating children. You should let children be. My son, they break television for the fun of it. If he's angry, he'll throw stuff at the TV and break it. He has broken 3 TVs. And there was a context in which he said what he said, but it was taken out and people came at him from different angles. He's not training the child. He's not doing this one. He's not able. He's a good father. He's not this. He's not that. And I'd like us to explore that conversation. We have raised children from very little to certain ages, and we know what happens at that time. They are preschool age, terrible twos, the toddlers, and all of that. So let's share. What do you think? What do you think about the situation and that happened in Bovi's house? The ability for the child to break TV and the child's head is not cut off. As a parent, would you advocate for beating or not beating?
Let me give the context.
Okay.
So what Bovi said, which I really, really appreciate, was that the reason, the context he put to why he didn't beat when they broke the TV was that according to him, many parents beat their children when they do things destructive like that out of frustration. Let me quote right, when they do things that seem like it's being destructive. Because for someone, for you might think it's destructive. For another parent, for the child, it's probably just experimenting to see what is behind the TV. I want to know. So he said that he could afford to buy another TV. And so for him, he simply bought another one. That many parents beat the children because they are frustrated that where will I see money to buy this? So it's like, you see the boy just broke your phone. How you break this phone? In the mind of the parent is, how I go see money to buy another phone? So the beating is a frustration based on the fact that they cannot afford what has just been destroyed. And we have had many parenting coaches on the show to realize that when you beat out of frustration and anger and reaction, you don't achieve change. You just vent. And as parents, we should learn to correct, not out of frustration, correct the action and not punish the person just because you want to vent your frustration. So I heard him, and that was the context with which he puts not beating. I have 3 boys. Obviously, my things get broken in the house. Very often. Very often. And I hear it is not as often as some other houses, because while I am blessed that they don't destroy as much as they could, but because they could have done much more. We never had toys last for days. You buy a toy car, it breaks.
Even your children that are engineers, they want to find out what everything.
My children would not see a car, and not even right now. I have learned to say, Samuel, what you're doing would break it. Don't think, because he wants to see what's inside. Like, I want to see what is inside. I'm like, the way you are trying to see it, it will break and it will not be repairable again. So I have learned to understand that the exploration part of them and not take it personal when they break their toys, but I will scream when you break my things. You know, I've had cases where they broke glasses, broke plates, broke my sunglasses. So now, as I wear my sunglasses, I'm like, don't wear it because it would get spoiled. And guess what? My my designer, and it was not cousin designer, this was original designer glasses, and I said it. But I didn't beat them because I knew that the children would do what children do. And so we must accommodate children to do what children do. But we must let them stop at when they are children and let them understand the implication. Majority of frustration, let's let other people talk. I support him. Okay. That you shouldn't beat children out of frustration. Long and short of the story.
Yeah, amazing.
Science.
How many children have you killed now?
No, we know.
Give us.
So, I actually don't beat my kids for breaking gadgets.
Okay.
But maybe for not break TV. You can't.
What's the difference?
See, it's always, when I find out the reason you do something, I will address that reason anyhow I choose, including beating. Yeah.
Yeah, we
beat you. So you cannot be angry in my house and you will be smashing TV. Then not be me born you. You branch come. If you say you a craze, not be me born you. You
gonna meet the better craze, yeah.
You want to see craze? So last night, my husband gave Imran torture drilling.
Hi.
Guess what he did? So all these weeks of holiday, my son has decided to go on the car canopies. Since their father got a new car for mommy now, the old car na toy. And they swing himself. He since he's an only son, he go and import son.
Away.
So they do it together.
Scratch.
And so yesterday morning, because the rule in my house is I mustn't find out. Mommy, I need to tell you something. I need to have a conversation with you. What's the conversation? English. What's the conversation? Imran, what's so important? If you see the sober way, only to tell I broke your antenna on your car. Like, how did you get on top of the car? Apparently, he has been climbing the car to Django. Thanks. So I didn't beat him because I don't beat for breaking gadgets. And then later, I saw my car keys with him and his friend again had opened the car door. Now there wahala day. Because if forever, whatever curiosity reason that kids have, the boy don't start ignition, go press the wrong thing. My neighbor's fence and the car and the boy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it didn't happen now.
So, no, okay, it didn't happen. But you know, that's what foresight means.
Yeah.
So I just imported Imran first. I gave him 2 hours of drilling, locked him in, only me and him. No, but punishments. And then I went to the boy's parents because if I had taken that boy along with Imran, he 14 cents a debt. Because I reported, and the parents dealt with their son as well. When my husband came back and I was reporting, because my son was, please don't tell daddy, be a different matter. I knew. I told daddy. And I allowed daddy to handle it. When it became too much, I knelt down, I begged. I said, my womb have not healed. Help me. But
how many years with this womb?
But this one never healed. Never heal. So the truth is, you must teach these children careful thinking, accountability, responsibility. My children, I always say that anger is a destructive emotion. We are not allowed in anger to do anything. What you're supposed to do, I use this signal to teach them, is to sit down, find a way to count. If you act in anger in my house, I go beat you silly. I go beat you because you've acted in anger, in a destructive. You cannot go and hold somebody's neck and say we're angry. So I will beat you.
You don't act in anger.
Yeah, you don't act in anger in my house. You don't break things out of anger. Their gadgets, all their tabs, they will put it on the floor while they are playing rough. After they are finished, they will match it, break it. I didn't beat them. You simply don't get another
gadgets,
one.
That's it.
So that's it.
Yeah, Miriam.
When I heard this, it made me laugh. Because in my house, of course, nobody gets beaten for breaking anything. But, you will see my face. And then it was funny, not too long ago, I think there was a vase I had, and either my husband or the children, it almost broke or something, or it did. And I heard them, the 3 of them, the father and the 2 children, they were like, oh my God. The father was like, thank God it didn't break because we would have left this house today. It's not that I beat anybody, but you will know. And over time, I think, in comparison, I think my children understand boundaries and not to break some things, So I guess Bovi's context would be like, rich man's problems. When you are not rich. So for some of us, if it's buckets, because my children broke 5 buckets, we will not vex because it's buckets. But my bucket is a TV in Bovi's house, and so TV is something that can be replaced. So I think all we're saying is that there are some things that children will do. And the best way to handle it is not to beat them, but to recognize that it's part of growing up and they're exploring. My son is the family technician, TV repairer, sound, whatever. It did not come from just sleeping. It came from destroying everything that he, you know, that he had put his hand on while growing up. So I have always advocated, you know, that we do parenting that does not involve beating. Because a lot of times when beating happens, it's not done, especially the sort of beating that I'm talking about, because I've realized that there are two types of beating. So the beating that my mommy used to beat me was serious beating from anger, you know, that I can even still remember the day. But the beating that happens after you have sat down to talk about it is usually maybe a cane, bring your hand, you have take 5 lashes, but that beating that they will cover you from head to toe.
The whole body,
that one is exactly, and that one is anger. And truly, in raising our children, we should put anger aside. Take a step away, take a breath, and then sit down and communicate. I know that I'm saying this as if I do this all the time.
Not all the time.
I have a teenager, he presses on my buttons. It takes the Holy Spirit to calm down. So I get all the parents when you, I'm just saying that, but we encourage each other, you know, to communicate, but
Amazing.
it's hard.
I love the angles, and to put in context what Bovi also said when they came after him, he explained that that child has a speech impediment.
Okay.
And so he can't use words yet. So they are still grooming him to learn how to, you know, express his anger, express his frustration in a healthy way.
I love that you said
yes,
that. Because
very
sometimes
important.
we have beaten children that do not deserve beating because of things like this.
Yes. So when he said that,
children
he also brought my mind back to when I was raising my own children. My son actually has broken 3 TVs. Yes. And when he broke the first one, we don't react in anger in my house. He didn't do it because he was angry. They were playing, teacher, flogging cane. No, but TV broke at the end of the day. Whether it's play or anger. He was flogging TV, flogging, you know, when they do that, their teacher play, and you flog all the chairs are your students and all of that. Now, so you carry pankere, flog
TV.
Poor boy.
Wait,
the line, thank you.
He drew a swamp.
We didn't change the TV immediately. The line was there. So I wanted to react, and thankfully for the Montessori education that I had working with kids at that time. So I kept my cool, right? And then I wanted to react, and I waited for the father to come back. When the father came back, he said, we'll manage it now. When we have money, we'll change it. And I was like, you're not upset. He said, I broke my father's TV too. I broke plenty,
when you have boys,
he said, I broke plenty TV. Then I started understanding, you know, because if you see my son now, you will not believe. My son at that time does not walk. He jumps and somersaults. Yes, he was very active. He had so much energy in him. And I didn't have the energy to take him out to play. So I started studying. And I realized that especially boys, they need an outlet for their testosterone. Serious outlet. The kind of play that you take them to the field, put them there. Let them play, let them fight.
Like,
you know, our ancestors, our ancestors were able, were able to utilize that energy with the farm work that people were doing. We played with tires on the streets. I don't come home till very late. I am dirty. I played football, I played basketball, I climbed trees and all of that. And I didn't give this boy that opportunity to express, because then we had moved to the city. You don't know your neighbor. We locked them inside. So he was using my house as the forest to climb the trees, to express all of those. And I knew I could not be beating him for being a child. It was one of the skills that I learned very early from Montessori. You do not beat children from exploring. They need that energy. No, thank you. So I'm getting there. So what we did in a way to channel the energy was, when I come back home from work, I opened the compound. I had to tell 2 guys who were living very close to me to monitor them, let them play. I didn't tell my husband because he would not find it funny. Why are they going to play outside? They don't know the people. I needed them to play and run tires. By the time Kamdili comes back inside the house, he's exhausted. They will bathe him, he will eat, and he will sleep. And that was what took me out of that phase. This boy today, if you see him, is a perfect gentleman.
The season has passed.
The season has passed. So I understood that sometimes we need to hold our frustration and the fact that, where do I get money to, you know, get this back now that it's been broken, and pay attention to one of the reasons why this is done. If it's an anger issue, there are anger classes that the child can...
We need to balance it.
You know?
So parents should not beat out of anger.
Frustration.
Or their frustration. But parents need to notice when their children are destructive.
Yes.
Out of anger.
Yeah.
So we had a very short period of time when one of my twins was destroying things out of anger. When he's angry, he will stamp his feet around the house looking for something to do. And I could see that looking for something to do, and I stopped it. That was intentionally not letting him react out of anger. Help your children to control and verbalize their emotion. And don't let them destroy things, because they'll say, the ladies of the abuse say, don't beat children.
No,
and your child is lashing out.
That you do not beat does not mean that
you don't punish.
Do not punish. And you are just saying that there are so many ways to do it.
Even me, I used to beat.
There's so many ways to punish a child, to discipline a child, to create boundaries without beating. And you mentioned something. I'm so sorry. I know you're trying to jump in. Where children have been beaten, autistic children, we don't understand that, what they're dealing with, and we beat them because we feel that the beating has not entered. That's why they're still misbehaving. And so many of them were further traumatized on top of that. But thank God for education, we're learning better. But that does not mean that those children, that they don't learn their lessons. Or else, how do they get up, get ready for school, be on time for school, take the time to study? It is not by heaven. It's that we're doing something extra. If you don't do this, you don't get this. If you don't do this, you don't... Consequences. You don't stay out for this. So there are things that you need to... That means you cannot do parenting from afar, where you just come shout and move on. Yeah. You need to know your children. So you know when you do something, there are things that you do that you will hurt them to their core. Because you know them, you know what you can take away from them.
We have to take advantage of every learning curve.
Yeah.
When a child does something, as a parent, when you're hands-on, you know why and how that child behaves. I have two, they are not the same. My son was delayed, and his speech, I couldn't even quickly understand his accent. So what I did, I saw him then, even as a one-year-old child, trying to say, I see this. He will show. So I used to call him. I would take my time, give him the time, and stuttering is in their genetics. So allow him to drop his point. So I took care of anger. So now he's a very expressive child at 8. He will tell you he has name for and label for all his emotions, and so you will take your time to listen. But that was not the approach of his dad. So it's not that you beat for everything, but if you are in the habit of being careless, that you choose my television to break. Imagine that sounds so nice. It's just there decorating the house. If you want it, it's line, you will see. I
used mine for 3 years.
I will deal with it. If I notice that you go to eat every time, you will explain to me what the TV they offend you. I will address it. So that when you want to get angry, you channel it some other way.
Angry with the film.
When I was a child, I was a very angry child. Somebody touched me one time. I was coming from the well. I broke the bucket of water on the child's head. That's my own style. I was a very angry child, but my parents channeled it. You know that you know how I grew up addressing my anger. I wash clothes. When I'm totally vexed, I will go and pack all the clothes. No, I mean they pack them. I will be there using the anger to wash it. So everybody find a way. You must find a way to channel and your child to escape. But to allow the child just waste, might just go into the bigger world and be a bigger.
Amazing contributions from ladies that are raising children here.
Personalized.
We will always test and try. Observation is the key for every parent. You must be able to know your children. There are certain things they will come and tell you, my child did this. You know how the child behaves.
You know the child
and if that pattern changes, you can spot it. How most of us were raised with, absent-minded parenting, and somehow we managed to be all right, cannot work for this generation. We must pay very close attention. And this is also holding space for people who are, dealing with children with different learning disabilities. We must also give them that grace to understand that they have peculiarities in their hands, and also support them in the best way. You hear people say, this child is behaving anyhow, they're no trainer. You don't know the story behind that child. So always find out before you pass your judgment. Listen and don't judge. And that's where we wrap it up today. We'll see you again tomorrow. Pigeon, speaking it, breaking it. And wish you all the best this Christmas season. Bye-bye now.